Coffee contains caffeine, the most widely used drug in the world. In the United States, about 80 to 90% of adults consume caffeine regularly. But how does caffeine affect your mental health? Quick story here. About 2 years ago, Lisa, a sales consultant, came to my office. She was experiencing difficulty sleeping and also had severe anxiety. As a sales consultant, Lisa met regularly with a client and gave sales presentations. She was, however, struggling to do this as her anxiety was getting worse. After talking with Lisa, I learned she drank at least 6 cups of coffee daily. Now, let's talk a little bit about what coffee does to the brain to understand what Lisa was struggling with. The half-life of caffeine is about 3 to 7 hours. This means it can take your body up to 7 hours to break down caffeine by 50%, by half. Of course, this will be affected by factors like your age, weight, metabolism, liver function, and genetics. So if you drank a cup of coffee at 8 a.m., you could still have half the amount of caffeine in your body by 3 p.m. By bedtime, you could still have some caffeine in your system, although for most people, the caffeine is mostly gone by nighttime. Coffee can affect sleep because it affects adenosine, a brain chemical that helps with sleepiness and relaxation. When the brain is active, it uses a lot of adenosine triphosphate, ATP, which is the primary energy currency of cells. As your brain uses ATP, it leaves behind a byproduct called adenosine. The longer your brain remains active, the more adenosine builds up. Adenosine binds to adenosine receptors, and more binding occurs over time. During the day, this process slowly reduces the alertness and increases drowsiness until you eventually fall asleep at night. As you sleep, your brain clears out the adenosine so that you wake up feeling rested and alert. So here's what happens when you drink coffee. Because caffeine has a similar structure to adenosine, it binds to these receptors and prevents adenosine from binding. Caffeine, however, does not send a sleepy signal. That's the difference. This means caffeine essentially turns off adenosine receptors so they cannot tell your brain it needs rest. This is why you don't feel sleepy when you drink coffee. This process also increases other brain chemicals like dopamine and norepinephrine, which explains the increased alertness, improved mood, and enhanced cognition when you drink coffee. In Lisa's case, she drank up to 6 cups of coffee a day and had some late in the afternoon. So it's no surprise that she struggled with her sleep. Caffeine reduces slow wave and rapid eye movement REM sleep. It also prolongs the time it takes to fall asleep and increases periods of wakefulness. There are quite a few substances that stimulate the central nervous system. Caffeine is one of them. So consuming too much can lead to symptoms of anxiety like restlessness, feeling uneasy, and rapid heartbeat. Also, if you have an anxiety disorder, studies show that caffeine can worsen your anxiety. Another study also showed that caffeine increased anxiety, hostility, and psychotic symptoms in hospitalized psychiatric patients. What you put in your coffee also matters. Adding sugar to coffee may negate many of its positive effects on mood. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame or saccharin are linked to an increased risk of depression. It's not all doom and gloom for caffeine, though. Some studies show beneficial results on mental health. For example, research done on people struggling with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, showed that more than half of them did better on 300 milligrams of caffeine daily. An interesting study done at Harvard University found that people who drank 2 or more cups of coffee daily appear to have only half the suicide risk compared to non-coffee drinkers. Caffeine has also been shown to improve vigilance, response times, information processing, and some proofreading tasks. It also increases energy and improves athletic performance. It is also important to note that caffeine is found in coffee, tea, soda, energy drinks, chocolates, energy bars, ice cream, and some medications. Considering that there are several studies showing caffeine can be good and bad for your mental health, I think it is essential to consider what caffeine does to your mental health. How do you feel when you drink coffee? And how much coffee do you consume daily? In Lisa's case, it was affecting her sleep and causing anxiety. She tried to stop her coffee consumption, but experienced headaches, fatigue, irritability, difficulty concentrating, and flu like symptoms. She was experiencing caffeine withdrawal. We worked on a safe way to taper Lisa off her excessive coffee consumption, and her anxiety and insomnia improved remarkably. Let me know in the comments what your experience with caffeine has been. I will speak with you soon.